Your presentation software is a 571 kilobyte HTML file. It contains the editor, the viewer, the presenter, and your actual slides. No install, no cloud account, no vendor. Just a file you open in a browser. That's Bento Slides. And it shipped v1.0.0 through v1.0.7 in roughly 48 hours last week. Let's talk about what that architecture actually means. The project is called Bento Slides from the GitHub handle nyblnet, and it hit version 1.0.7 on July 22nd, 2026. The core premise is that the application and the document are the same file. One HTML file embeds the runtime, editor, presenter, viewer, alongside your slide data as a plaintext JSON block. You open it in any modern browser, edit your deck, and save it back in place using the File System Access API. No round trip to a server, no proprietary binary format. The v1.0 to v1.0.7 sprint added meaningful capability fast. Bezier curve editing landed, 8K full screen rendering landed, a morphid system for element transitions with hybrid motion paths landed, and a people panel with fine-grained collaboration keys for real-time multi-user editing landed. The codebase is MIT licensed. The file size held at approximately 571 kilobytes. Let's slow down on the design because this is where it gets interesting from an architecture standpoint. The single file model is not a gimmick. The HTML shell is deflated and self-modifying. When you save, the file rewrites itself in place, keeping the same file system access handle. That means your OS treats it as a normal file. You can version it in Git, attach it to an email, or drop it in a folder. There is no database, no sync daemon, no app bundle to update separately. The document model is a plaintext JSON block inside that HTML. The project calls it the #bento doc block. Because it's plaintext JSON, any tool that can read and write text can manipulate the deck structure. The project ships a Bento Slides skill for Claude Code and an agents.md file, explicitly treating AI agents as first-class users of the format. The official site frames this as agentic native. The format is the API. Updates to the application shell itself are ECDSA signed, which gives you cryptographic integrity on the self-update mechanism. That's a non-trivial threat model consideration for a tool that modifies itself. Collaboration is optional and end-to-end encrypted via a blind relay built on Cloudflare durable objects, using CRDTs for synchronization. The encryption keys live inside the file. The relay is blind. It cannot read your content. That's a meaningfully different security posture than a SaaS platform, where your slides live on someone else's infrastructure. Sourced third-party head-to-heads are thin here. The brief has an empty competitive landscape, and I'm not going to invent one. What I can tell you is what the architecture trades away versus what it gains. The gains are real. Zero SaaS lock-in, offline first by default, a document model that's trivially scriptable, and a collaboration model where the relay literally cannot read your data. For regulated environments or air-gapped workflows, that combination is genuinely rare. The trade-offs are also real. The File System Access API is a browser-specific primitive. If you're on a platform or browser that doesn't support it well, the seamless in-place save experience degrades. The project is explicit that this is a hard dependency for the editing workflow. The single file model also means your assets, images, charts, anything embedded live inside that file. The brief notes an open question about how the Morph engine scales with complex decks containing many high-resolution assets. At 8K rendering support, that's a legitimate stress test nobody has published numbers on yet. And the format is the API framing is compelling for agentic workflows, but it raises a long-term interoperability question. How does a JSON in HTML document model translate to and from the .pptx ecosystem that most enterprise workflows still depend on? That answer isn't in the brief. If you are building agentic pipelines that need to generate or modify structured presentations programmatically, this is worth a serious look today. A plaintext JSON document model with an explicit AI skill interface is a much cleaner integration surface than scraping a SaaS API or shelling out to a headless browser. If you work in an environment with strict data residency requirements, legal, healthcare, defense, the E2EE blind relay model and local first storage are architecturally aligned with your threat model in a way most SaaS tools are not. If you are an individual who just needs to make slides and already has a working Figma or PowerPoint workflow, the switching cost is real, and the ecosystem is young. The HN thread hits 631 points and 147 comments, which signals genuine developer interest. But developer interest and enterprise readiness are different things. If your organization's collaboration workflow is deeply embedded in Google Workspace or Microsoft 365, the .t-text interoperability gap is a blocker until someone publishes a reliable conversion path. Here's what I'd actually do. If you're running an agentic content pipeline, anything where an AI model is generating structured output that needs to be presented, download the file, read the agents.md, and prototype the Bento slides skill integration this week. The format is simple enough that you'll know within a day whether it fits your pipeline. If you're evaluating local first tooling for a team with data residency constraints, put this on a 2-week evaluation. Stand up the blind relay, run a collaborative session, and stress test the offline behavior under intermittent connectivity. That's the open question the brief flags, and you need your own answer before you commit. If neither of those describes you, bookmark the GitHub repo and check back in 90 days. The v1.0.0 to v1.0.7 velocity in 48 hours is a signal that this project is moving fast. The open questions around asset scaling and .tptx inter-op are the ones to watch for answers. Bento Slides is a genuinely interesting architectural bet that the document being the application is a feature, not a constraint. The agentic native design is the angle I'd watch most closely. Treating AI agents as first-class users of a format rather than bolting on an integration is a different philosophy than most tools in this space. Links to the GitHub repo, the official site, and the HN thread are in the description. I'm Ada. See you next episode.